All right, hey, this is Coach Jay right now, podcasting 7-1 to 7-3. Here we go. All right, so with the review, we're going to start on number one. One of the things that I didn't hit on very hard, though I did hit on, was this idea of matrices, okay? And so I want to make sure we can walk through this. You're going to need your calculator for this one, okay? Now, the beauty of this is the fact that these right here are going to be very similar to what you'll see come test day. And also, the fact that your calculator pretty much does it for you, which is kind of nice, okay? So let's do this. We're going to look at just number one real fast. One thing in a matrices you need to understand is that when we set this up almost, I don't know if you've ever seen the matrix, but in a way where it basically has the x's in the first column, y's in the third, z's, and then our solution. So the numbers should go like this: 3, 2, negative 5, negative 10. 3, 2, negative 5, negative 10. The second one would be 2, 4, 1.
So it's a 4 by
0.
3, right?
Okay. The next one is 1, negative 6, negative 4, and negative 3. Okay?
How do you get to matrix again?
Second,
Yeah,
x
absolutely.
negative 1.
Yeah, I'll do that in just a second,
I see.
Alex. Yeah.
Sweet.
So this right here is, I just want you to see that we could transform whatever systems of equations into a matrices, okay? Now, as far as doing it by hand, you don't have to do that. Just know how to use your calculator,
Wait,
okay?
so you put that in your calculator?
Yes. So Alex had a good question here, and I wanted to get to it. How in the world do I get to my matrices? Well, if you go to second, and I think Nick said it, x to the negative first up here, okay? Second x to the negative first. And you want me to go do that again?
X to the negative first.
Yeah, except you'll do the second. You see this
Like the blue
Down
thing.
for a second.
Here, do you want me to show you?
right here, that
Okay,
blue part?
Second, and then you see how it says matrix over the. Okay. I was like, you want to plug in?
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're good, you're good.
That was so stupid.
No, that's all right. So right here we've got the names. You want to go to the edit function, okay? So once you go to the edit up at the top, simply press enter at the A matrices. And I think Nick said it pretty good here, okay?
Pretty well.
When pretty well, sorry. Yeah, bad teacher.
Oh, good. Don't worry about it. I got you. That might
We
be
say it this way, rows by columns, okay? So we say that this is a 3 by 4, okay? So, and if you become confused on that, basically we want it to look exactly like we see it up there. So what we'll do is put a 3 by 4, okay? So you should have something that looks like this, okay? Now, once I get to this point, we want to then just simply plug in the numbers that we see across. So 3, 2, negative 5, negative 10. So go 3, 2, make sure it's negative 5 and not minus 5, because I mess up on that sometimes. And negative 10, okay? The second one we get is 2, 4, 1, 0. All right, and then the last one is 1, negative 6, negative 4, and then negative 3, okay?
Do we do RREF?
Correct, that's exactly right. Yeah. 4.
Did they ever try to throw you off by like switching up the order of the X's and Y's and Z's on the paper?
Don't think so. I don't see anything right here. The one thing I will say is, and we'll do one here in a second, is one like number 2 where they maybe don't have a Z in that spot. Does that make sense? And in that, just make sure you fill that in with a 0. So again, X's are here, Y's, Z's, and then solutions. As long as you keep that consistent with first, second, and third equation, you'll be fine, okay? And again, we'll do another one where you kind of mixes it up a little bit, but you'll see it's not too bad, okay? Now, once we do this, we're just going to go to second mode, which quits out of that. And then we're going to go back to matrices. So second, x to the negative first, okay? And this time, I just want you to go to the math button, which is the middle. So we start with edit, then we go to math. And then once I go to the math button, we're going to go to the RREF, okay? Which is row reduced echelon form. You don't have to know that. It just means it's going to reduce the matrices we put in. So to put this back in, we go to second, x to the negative first again, press enter at A,
Everything is disintegrated.
we should get something like this, okay? All right, how are we doing?
Wait,
It's
so simple.
It is it?
What are I for Aria?
How to get RREF?
Yeah. Like the noises. Like,
Go to second x to the negative first here, okay?
No, because it literally did.
And then go to the math,
we
right?
have to close
It made
parentheses.
no sense how it was supposed to go on.
You don't have to. If you want to, that might be mathematically beautiful, but you don't have to. Okay.
Data type.
All right.
Error.
You have an error. I'll have to check yours out. Okay.
Other G's.
All right. Hey, y'all, keep it down for me. Keep it on math stuff, just so we can, especially since we're podcasting. Okay. Once I press enter, we should get something like this.
How do we write our answers? Like how it gives it to us?
Right. It'll be like X. Okay, how did you get it on this screen? 'Cause before it took me to X equals.
I'm gonna not go to college. I just money in my vape fund.
Okay. I'll kind of hold off, make sure everyone's good there.
Then do we just like add all that?
Now, this is the beauty. This is the
And then
answer.
add it. It's not like X equals Y. It would be like
Okay.
1X.
Nothing says
X
like
equals
135.
0.5.
Yep. And then what would this be?
God, self-conscious.
A Y. Positive.
I actually love that feeling.
Do you solve
Yeah.
for X
It's so
or
funny.
Here, yeah, so just make sure everyone's on the same page, okay? Once we get to this point, all of it's calculator based, okay? So there will be a calculator, non-calculator section on the test. Right here, this stands for our x, so that produces x equals 0.5, or 1/2. This right here, the second equation, is y, right? Because this was x, y, and z. Y would be equal to negative 0.75. And then this, the last one, would be z is equal to 2.
So you just like, you don't like move the number over and like divide, you just simply, what's in the right column is our answers.
Correct.
X, Y, and Z.
Correct.
So if it
Just
doesn't-
make sure x is
Yeah.
here, y, and z.
Yeah.
You're good.
So if it doesn't, like for the next one, because I'm doing the homework, just the same thing. If it doesn't give you a value for one of them, you just put 0.
Just put 0 for that. Just be sure, again, x is the first, y is the second, z is the third. Okay? Okay, let's do this. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to number 3, okay? Because this becomes a little bit tricky, a little bit different here. Let's go back to second x to the negative first, okay? All right, y'all looking at 3?
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, when we plug this in, we only have 2 equations, okay? With an x, y, and z, just be careful that the second one has no z. So fill that in with the 0 there. But let's plug that into our calculator. By the way, what type of, would it be 3 by 4? What would be the row by column?
2 by 3.
2 by 4.
4.
Don't forget the solution, right?
Oh,
Don't forget the
okay.
solution. Okay, so when we come here, we're going to go to the edit again. Okay. Now it's 2 by 4. Okay. Now we're just going to plug in what we see here. So again, this is number 3 on the review. This will be 2 and 4 and negative 2. Sorry, negative 2, my fault. Then we have 0 as our last one. I'm just plugging this in. And what would be the second part here?
2, 3, 5. Wait, like the second row?
Yes.
5, 0, 1.
Perfect. Nice, Parker. 3, 5, 0, and 1. Why'd you fill in a 0, Parker?
No Z value in that equation.
Exactly right. No Z value was right. We got different tickets now. Smaller, you know?
More
Uh,
compact, better thing than that.
Yeah, that's right.
Same
So,
number.
this right here, we're done, right? One of the things, Parker, I think you did earlier to just remember is we want to quit out of that once we plug that in, right?
That's why.
Because if you don't, it'll kind of come back to that.
That's what I did.
Okay? So then you could go to second x to the negative first again, go to math, go to RREF, which is there, and then we just go back to second x to the negative first, A, and there we are. Now this becomes a little bit weird, okay? A little weird. The reason why is because we had 2 equations, but with 3 variables. That's a problem. It's hard to solve for that when we have, again, only 2 equations with 3 variables. So what we have is this. If someone could read that to me real quick so I can put it up here.
X plus, or, 1, 0, 5, 2. I was 0, 1, negative 3, negative 1.
Okay. So what I want you to do is this. This is all I want you to do. Set this up as x equals, or I'm sorry, not x equals, x plus
5y. Z.
5z, right? 'Cause this is x, y, z in solutions, right? So we would say x plus 5z equals what?
2.
2. Good, that's the first equation.
That's our first answer.
The second equation would be what?
Y minus 3Z.
Y minus 3z equals
Negative
-1. Now watch this. Solve for x here. What would that be?
Elimination.
You multiply the second equation by -5.
Okay, so
+5.
Or wait. 5Z.
be careful real quick, okay? Just subtract 5z. Here's what we're doing. There's not enough information to actually say x equals this, y equals this, z equals this, right? So all we want to do is make it in terms of the same thing, okay? That's all we're doing. So they've already simplified it for you, so you're just going to do this. You're just going to say x equals, I think Natalie said it, a couple of you said it, 2 minus 5z, that'd be number 1, okay?
And that's it?
What would y be equal to? Close.
-1 plus 3Z.
-1 plus 3z. Good. We got that. What would z be equal to?
That's what we use elimination.
What are both of these in terms of?
Z.
Z, right? Okay. So guess what z is going to be equal to? This sounds really weird, but it's going to be equal to z. It's going to be itself. So what in the world just happened? Well, what we did was we just said x equals, y equals, and z equals. We're just talking in the same language. This right here, since we only have 2 equations, we can't solve for what like x, y, and z are actually equal to. Okay? So what did we just do? We did everything the same thing. The only difference is once we get here, we put it in the same expression, so same variable, z. Okay?
So would Z be,
All right? Do we struggle on that? Go ahead, Stucky.
would Z be like all real numbers, or would it be?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. So we don't know what it's going to be, right? Now, this is Parker, but let's talk about this. Why was this one? Why could I solve for this one and not for this one? How many variables do I have?
3.
So I have to have how many equations? 3 in order to solve for it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, what?
Say that again.
I don't know.
So normally we have like, if we have 3 variables, we have to have 3 equations, right? Okay? But down here, they give you a little bit of a twist when they say, hey, there's an x, y, and z, 3 variables,
Oh, but there's only.
but only 2 equations. In that instant, something in the back of your mind says, okay, I've got to make sure I just tune into that. Again, all calculator based, right? So you know it's a 2 by 4, right? 2 equations, 4 separate sections. So once I plug it in, they simplify it out here, and then they already have x isolated for you. X plus 5z equals 2, and y minus 3z equals -1. Simply just get x and y by itself in terms of the same variable, right? And you're good to go.
So you take the number that the calculator gives you and
I-
plug it in.
Right here,
Yeah.
this number, yes, exactly. Because it'll tell you, use matrix capabilities, and then you just use it in software to go from there. Okay, Parker?
What do you mean in terms of the same variable?
Yeah, variable means a letter, right? The letter we don't know.
Right.
Does that make sense?
But I don't get what you mean, like getting both of them in the term of the same variable.
Yeah, so x equals, y equals, and z equals. Whatever follows that has to have the same variable, right? Variable being in terms of z.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Z is an unknown, right? A variable is an unknown value. We don't know what it is. Stucky is actually right when he said it's any real number. We don't know what it is. There's not enough information for us to know that.
Okay.
So that's why we just keep it in terms of something that is the same.
Okay.
Okay? If you got to here and just said, oh man, I forgot what to do, you'd still get a lot of credit back because you know what to do on your calculator and that sort of thing. But to get the full credit, just be sure to isolate the x and y,
Yeah.
and then go from there. Okay? How do y'all feel?
Can you do number 2 because that's freaking me
Absolutely, yeah. So for this one, how many equations are there?
out?
4, right? So this is going to be a 4 by what?
4.
4 by, how many variables are there?
4.
X, Y, Z, W, and then remember the solution, right?
5.
Yeah, exactly. So this would be a 4 by 5, right? And when I plug this in, we'll still do the REF, right? So you'll get an X, Y, Z, and W, right? Now, you won't have to do this algebraically. You understand? Like, you don't have to do just by calculator. So this will be X column here first. So for the top one, we'd have what?
0.
0, what would be Y?
1.
1, what would be Z?
1.
1, what would be W?
-2.
-2 in solution. -3, right? The next one would be 1, Y is 2, Z is -1, W is 0, solution's 2, right? And this again going in your calculator right here.
Wait, what? Oh, because X is first?
Correct. Remember as long as the X, Y, Z, and W, all of those have to be the same.
Cool.
And then solutions, right?
Okay.
And if it doesn't have one, we have to fill that in with a 0, right?
Right.
And then the next one would be 2, 4, 1, -3, -2. And then the last one is 1, -4, -7, -1, and -19. Okay? I think that's it right there. And you just plug it in. Once I plug that in my calculator, that way, I just do REF of that matrix, and you're good to go. It'll give you that solution.
Coach A, what if it's 0 all the way along the line? Like on the homework, this one, it's like the whole bottom row is 0.
When you solve it, it's all 0.
Yeah, is that just Z equals Z?
Yeah, in that instance,
So I did that for the top 2 ones, and then
yeah, what happened was one canceled out there. Does that make sense? So you would go back to what I did here.
so Z equals 0 is that one?
0 Z equals Z.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's what I did.
Yeah, and then you would do the same thing at the top 2 rows that you did earlier. Okay. Great question. Hey, how does the matrix feel?
Feels,
Okay.
feels great.
It's not bad if you just know how to plug it in, right?
Right.
It's one that you should be like, oh, I got this. This is a little weird. I get that. I'm glad I'm podcasting that one. But should be good there. Okay. All right. Let's keep going on this one. Can we go to the next one here? Are we good with that? I know y'all are plugging that in. Let's go to number 4. I think it's 4 here. Is that it? This one's another matrix capabilities one. I can do that one later if need be. What's up, Bailey? Good to see you. Thank you very much. How was Seven Bridges?
It was good.
Good. Other than people scaring everyone?
I wasn't there.
You weren't there,
No,
that's
I
right.
just heard everyone scream.
That's right. It was crazy. It was crazy. Let's go to number 5. This one is one where we're solving the systems of equations, okay? This one is a calculator problem, but I wanted to make sure I set it up accordingly so we could kind of walk through it together, okay? If I was to solve this using my calculator, what's important to be able to get by itself? Number 5. Y, right? Exactly. So on number 5, we'd have x squared plus y squared equals 25. So get y by itself. What would we do?
You would subtract
Yeah.
x and then divide by negative.
Good. Subtract by x squared.
That's what it gets.
And then
Supposed to be.
And then so we got y squared equals 25 minus x squared. What do we do now?
square root.
Good. Remember when I square root a squared, what do I do to the other side?
Break both of them, right?
Because I can't square root both of them. I can't do it because it goes together, right? So wouldn't I have to have a plus or a minus? Do y'all remember that?
Yeah.
By square root of squared? Right? I think the only one that you'll have to do that on is one similar to what you see up here.
So is,
Okay?
is it still 5 minus X though?
I can't square root it because they're two separate things. Now, Parker, if I had this, the square root of 5 minus x in parentheses squared, I could. Does that make sense? But I can't break it up here because of the minus sign in between. Okay? So this right here would be my first part. What would be y equals on my second part?
Y equals
X plus 1.
Think close to that. Let's see. This will be a little easier. So we subtract x. I think, Addie, you were talking to me earlier about this. 1 minus x. What do we do with the y? Change it. Change the 1, change the x, right? So I got y equals -1 plus x. Right? Those are the two. Alright, how are we feeling?
I think that's the
Right?
answer.
Well, this right here are my two setups, right, for my calculator. Because again, this will be a calculator part. I'll allow you to use your calculator for this one. So we can do what with both of these? Just plug it in my calculator, right? So let's go to this part.
Is
like the table?
Not the table. This is the y equals. If you remember that part.
Oh, yeah.
So we just, on the first one, put -1 plus x, right? Okay, so we'll do -1 plus x here. For the second and third one, we want to do what with that?
Positive square root thing and then another one for the next.
Great. Nice job, Dory. Minus x squared, right? I think it was this. And then the next one's just negative square root of 25 minus x squared, okay? I'll hold off just for a second, make sure that we understand where we're at. Does anyone
Oh,
not?
I see, I get it.
We just have to have a plus and a minus, because I don't think there's a button that has
Okay.
plus and a minus on it, okay?
What do you do with all these? It's like interesting.
Okay. We'll graph it, right? We'll graph it now.
Yeah, I just did like one when you.
And again, if you can't see it on there, you can go to zoom function, which helps right there. But we've got this circle. How many solutions would we have then?
Get x and y.
Why? Yeah, Natalie, why?
Because it only intersects twice.
It only intersects twice. Good.
That makes sense.
And does anyone know how we could find those solutions?
Oh, you just do the
intersect.
Yeah.
Good, the intersect function, right?
Yes, you find your first curve and then your second, find that point, and do your end point.
Mine,
You're right.
mine
Yeah.
says error as soon as it gets to the negative.
Make sure on this, a lot of times I forget to.
How do you set it to x equals?
Oh, the negative function?
Get
I
x
do
and
this
y.
go to y equals again.
So, but like only one of the numbers is for x.
Because x, y, z.
Oh, right, you
Yeah,
said
it's like
negative
one
x squared.
equals
That has to be minus x squared.
X.
That was the only one I saw.
There's no
Oh.
y.
All right, so Alex was right. Alex, you rock. I got to take it for you. Got you here. All right, so now this time I'm going to go to second, trace, and this is where I go to that intersect function, right? Okay. And so my first curve, I'm doing this line right here, okay? So I'm just going to press enter. Doesn't matter where it's at on that line. Press enter.
You
The
just press
se-
enter a bunch of times.
Say that again.
You just press enter a bunch of times.
It does. There is one thing that I want to be careful on, because for this one, you're right. You can press enter, but notice this curve's up here. Therefore, the intersection I'm tuned into is that top right one. Okay? So we press enter there.
So for our second curve, we wanna go on that line, or did you do that for your first?
I did this one. The first one, I did the line.
Okay,
It's up to you. It doesn't matter which order you put it in. You just want to make sure you have one on top, one with the line, and then my guess, which is the third one that I press enter on, is somewhere close to this intersecting point.
Wait, I put
Okay.
it in my second one.
literally told me that.
That's okay. It doesn't really matter in terms of where these are at, as long as you identify which is the first and second curve. Okay? So once I press enter, there I have my intersection of 4, 3. Okay? Now, Dory, what you said earlier, which is a pretty good strategy, is just press enter 3 times and you're good. A lot of times that works. Here's what I would say, just be careful of. Remember, we want this one down here, right? If I press enter 3 times, I would get this one up here again. So I'm going to show you real quick, just a reminder of how we approach this here. So enter for the first one. The second one, though, we don't want it to be up here, right? We want it to be down below, right? So if I just press the up arrow right here, watch it kind of go down. Okay, so it goes down to the line. Press up again, and it goes down to the bottom. Y'all see that?
Wait, do that again?
Okay? So you see the top one right here, or bottom? If I keep going up, it goes between the curves. You see the colors change? So it goes from red to blue to black. I'm just going up, 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 up. It's just rotating between curves. So the first curve is the line. The second curve is the bottom of that circle. Okay? Does that make sense? I haven't pressed enter yet for my second curve. I'm just showing you how I go between the 3. So once I press enter on the bottom part, I can then guess down on this one below. And once I do that, it gives me the intersection of -3, -4 as my second set of solutions. Okay? All right, how do y'all feel on that?
So we need two
Sure.
set of solutions.
So it's
Good.
gonna be
I always lose my cursor. Like it just disappears.
Does it?
Yeah.
If you okay, so here's kind of how I work it, Alex. That's a good point. If I go right and left, it'll go right and left on that curve.
Okay.
If I go up and down, it rotates between the three curves.
Oh, okay.
Does that help you?
Yeah, thanks.
You're
Wait,
welcome.
can you go back to the y equals?
Yeah, absolutely.
So our answers are x equals -3 and -4, and x equals 4 and 3.
The two solutions are -3, comma -4 in parentheses, and then 4, comma 3 in parentheses. Does that make sense? Those are the 2 points that are there. Okay. All right. How are we feeling? I'm trying to get. These are the more Gucci. I like it. These are the more difficult ones that I remember us maybe struggling on. That I want to make sure we go through. We'll still have tomorrow as well, but I want to make sure we're good to go on that. Nick.
Can we do number 4? Because you can do, it's literally x plus y equals 6, and that's 3 plus 3 equals 6, but then like, you did number 4?
I don't think I did.
But then you go up to the top one and it's x plus 2y, but that would be 9 and it says equals 0. And I plugged it in on matrices and it got like, all of them were 1. Like x was
Yeah, we could definitely do it. So this one is if you look at number 4 real quick, it would be 3 equations with, so it would be a 3 by what? 3 by 3, right? Because it's x, y in solution. So I would say a 3 by 3. So this would be 1, 2, 0, right? What would be the next one?
1, 1, 6.
Gotcha. And what would be the third one?
3, -2, 8.
3, -2, and 8. Okay. So then we quit. We get out of there. Go to second x to the -1st. Go down to math. REF. Come back to second x to the -1st with that a. And this is what we get. Okay. Now let's talk about it. Let's talk about what this equals. So what does x equal?
1.
0.
0, right? Let me make sure. So x, this is x column. X equals solution 0, right? What does y equal? 0. But this is where it gets weird. Okay? What is this?
0.
0, because there's nothing, equals what?
1.
1. Okay, so if 0 equals 1, going back to kind of that first part, that is not true. Therefore, there is no solution.
Okay.
Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got it. It's just, yeah, I got it.
So I would just say
The whole problem is no solution?
the whole thing's no solution. Because this is untrue. 0 does not equal 1. And so we'd say no solution. Even though we have x equals 0, y equals 0, overall, you can't have 0 equals negative
But, like,
equals 1.
On our other matrix, we don't do that. Like we just, like we don't even check to see. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Correct.
Like why? Like
Yeah.
how would I know on the test to be like, oh, let me check and see? Because I would have written like 0, 0, 1 or whatever. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I probably would give you some credit on that, Alex.
Mhm.
But look right here and just think, okay, this is, I would rewrite this on my test just to get some credit on there. Because the more you show, the better opportunity you have to get credit. The first column's x, I would write that. Second column's y, I'd write that. The last one's always my solutions. So I could say, okay, 1x
Oh gosh.
plus 0y equals 0. Okay, good. The second one, 0 plus y equals 0. Now, if I had just that right there, you'd be good. You'd be good. But it gives us a third one, which makes it a little bit weird, because now I have 0x plus 0y equals 1.
Oh, I see. Because there's
Does that
not
make sense?
3 variables. There's only 2. And there's 3. Okay, now I get it.
Correct.
Sorry. I thought it was like X, Y, and Z, and I was like, why wouldn't you just? Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Does that make sense there?
Thank you. Yeah.
So all of that, that's all matrices. The 4 that I gave you right there are the 4 different possibilities. They may or may not be on there, but I'm not going to do anything outside of the 4 that I've given you on here. Okay? Does that make sense? So just go through them again. It's on a podcast. Check it out, and I think we'll be okay. All right? All right, let's do this. Can we do this? Go to number 6 real quick. Do you want to do this? We have about 5 minutes left. Do you want to try to do this on your own, or are we lost on like these word problems here?
Well, if you're talking about the number 6, please do it.
Please do it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. If you feel like you're good, then you could go to like 6 and then even 7. Look at 7 before I do 6, okay? On 7, what do we do with supply and demand curves? If we're trying to find the point of equilibrium,
Oh, it's their.
We set them equal to zero?
It's their.
exactly, it's the intersection. We just set them equal and go. Okay? So on number 7, simply just set it equal and rock and roll from there. Okay? Just set them equal to each other. All right, so let's go to number 6, because that one is a little bit different because you have to actually solve for or set up the equation. It says this: we have a small business. We've invested $5,000 to produce an item. Okay? So here's my business right here. Okay? I'm going to call it Michigan
Oh.
is awesome. Okay?
You just like whip that.
All right?
I know, that was
Yeah.
impressive.
I practiced, right?
That was quick.
I know. We try. That was pretty good, wasn't it? That was pretty good. All right, so we're going to say that in this business, we have stuff that's going out, and we also have stuff that's coming in. The stuff that's going out is what I'm paying out. The stuff that I'm getting is the amount of money that I'm getting in. Okay? So let's talk about what's going out. What am I investing? $5,000. Is that a flat rate, or is that 5,000 times something?
Unless there's, no, it's just 5,000. If
5,000.
there was like interest or something, then we would, right?
Correct. But I don't think we have one like that. I think it's more, hey, this is the amount that I'm investing. Parker's investing this much in her theater that she's going to buy. Okay? For GAC. All right? All right. We also have to produce an item for $9, okay? So this would be Parker. She's doing a theater. She has to pay her actors or actresses a certain amount of money. That is what's going out from it, okay? All right? So the $9 is not a flat rate. It's a $9 per item. So what do we put with 9?
9x.
There you are. Okay? That right there is what I am sending out, okay? But the beauty of business is that fact that there's not just money that goes out, there's also money that comes in. And it talks about each unit that can be produced. Oh, hold up. My fault. Each item will sell for how much?
$9.
9, right?
7.
Okay. What should go here?
7.
7. Good.
Margin.
Right? Because the 7, I hope, is less than
Oh, because
the amount that
7
I'm.
is what's going out.
Correct.
Okay. And then
Correct.
she's making it for 7 and then selling it for
Yeah, your profit
Perfect.
margin's garbage,
That
whatever
would
you're
be
selling.
that would be really bad, right?
What are you selling?
Okay. So 9x is what's coming in. Okay.
77%.
Concessions. That's right.
M&M's.
This is right.
$9.
So 5,000 plus 7x is what I'm sending out. The 9x is what's coming in. Okay. All right. Very good. So now we're going to do what with both of these? If I'm trying to see where is
Set
my
them equal to
break-even point, we set them equal to each other, and we solve for how many of these x's do I have to produce and sell in order to break even. So we just say, okay, 5,000 plus 7x equals 9x. Okay. Subtract 7x, good. So we got 2x equals
The
5,000.
person should not survive
They
their
are not
business.
selling
The business
business.
is
Probably not, yes. This should be called Ohio State because it's not going to survive. All
What
right.
is Michigan? Jeez.
I know. I can't even talk. Why am I talking?
We tried to
Why
do
am I
7.
talking?
Oh my gosh, you have so much.
X is equal to how much then?
2,500.
2,500 M&Ms at Parker's Theater. Okay.
Which I would never put 7 into my calculator, it gives me an error.
Whenever
You put what in your
7,
calculator?
The E equals 220 minus, it always gives me an error. Like when I put that in the Y equals.
Oh, it could be. I'll look at it. But really, this is not. You could set them equal to each other. Find where they intersect.
Yeah.
You got me? You could do it algebraically too. Does that make sense? You could do it just simply algebraically by setting them equal, solving for x. That's really what you can do, right? So what would be the amount of money that would be the break-even point? We got the amount that I have to sell. What's the amount of money?
We need to multiply that
$2,500.
times 9.
Times 9, or you could put it on top, either one, where you multiply by 7, add 5,000. Either way would work, but if I multiply by 9, what would we get?
2,500. Oh.
22,500.
Nice. $22,500
No, it just says how many units.
that are there. Yeah,
Back to the-
then you'd only need this right here. Okay? Hey, tomorrow we're going to look at more of the algebra side of it. We'll do a little bit of a review game. That was the stuff I wanted to hit on, all right? See y'all. Have a great one. Hey, this was Coach Jay's podcast. Again, hopefully this was helpful for you. Have a great day. Bye.